There's a soil bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT. And if you take that bacteria and gather it up and use it as a spray, the BT toxin produced by the bacteria will kill insects. So engineers take the gene that produces the toxin and insert it into corn and cotton and allow the plants to do the killing.
Every single cell within that plant is producing a toxic protein.
BT is designed to break open the stomach of insects and kill them. So when the doctors hear about this, that BT corn was introduced into our diet in the mid-90s, they say this may explain the increase in gastrointestinal problems that they're seeing in their practice. But the EPA says, don't worry about BT toxin. It's completely harmless to human beings and animals because it only affects insects. However, a study that came out in February 2012 showed that the EPA got it wrong. It does break open little pores in human cells, and it might cause the same kind of disruption in our guts as it's causing in the insects that it kills.
If Bacillus thuringiensis is causing an increased propensity for our intestine to become permeable or leaky and for foods to be presented to our bloodstream in a premature fashion, the havoc that it will cause will be across the entire spectrum of disease, from premature aging and Alzheimer's to Parkinson's to autism to cancer to asthma. There is no part of the spectrum because we start the same as if you buy a brand new car and it says on that it's meant to run on gas and you go put diesel in it, you can expect it won't go very far. So when you put the wrong fuel into your body, and by making your intestine leaky, we are permitting building blocks to go into our body that are the wrong fuel.
There's only been one human feeding study on genetically modified foods. And they found that part of the gene inserted into soybeans that make the soybeans Roundup ready transferred into the DNA of bacteria living inside our intestines and stayed there. Furthermore, that bacteria was not killable with Roundup, suggesting that the gene remained active. This means long after we stop eating genetically modified foods, we may still have these genetically modified proteins produced continuously inside of us. They never checked to see if the BT toxin gene transferred from, say, corn chips into our gut bacteria and continued to function. If it does, it might turn our intestinal flora into living pesticide factories. This might explain why 93% of pregnant women tested in Canada had the BT toxin in their blood, as well as in the blood of 80% of their unborn fetuses. The authors of the study suggested that the BT toxin came as a result of eating the milk and meat of animals that ate Monsanto's BT corn. But I think a more plausible explanation is that the BT toxin was produced continuously inside their own digestive tract.
What's happening in the research articles that I'm reading is that a lot of the conditions that seem to be on the rise are connected to intestinal permeability. To me, I think that this is actually one of the important parts of why GMOs might be harmful.
One of the things that really I see a lot in children now is that kids come in with leaky guts. They're usually in an intestine, there should be tight junctions in the intestine. But these kids are coming in, their guts are not creating these tight junctions. The food they're eating is leaking into their bloodstream. They're creating an antibody response to those foods, and so they're coming in with food intolerances and food allergies.
Once intestinal permeability rises, then it's possible for larger bits of food to go through, bits that really should have been digested fully before getting assimilated. Once these go into the bloodstream, the body develops a reaction to them, and this reaction is an allergic reaction.
I have a son who has severe food allergies, and he got the food allergies back in '09, August 25th, 2009 to be exact, and I have literally from that day forward have been on a mission trying to figure out how did my son get these food allergies. I found out that our food supply is genetically modified, and guess what? The food that my son ate on August 25th, 2009 was raw corn, the corn that almost killed him. All I could hear him go is and like itching. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And he has turned red. He couldn't breathe properly. I was in panic. I called 911. I was just like, I think my son's having a food allergy attack.
It's okay.
And I immediately took him to the doctors, and I got all these tests done, and sure enough, he's deadly allergic to corn now.
25, 30, 35 years ago, no one was allergic to anything. And now you have allergies. I have people with black pepper that couldn't have black pepper today. There's, celiacs that have wheat, gluten allergies. People that have allergies to, of course, the basics like dairy and seafood, but everything. I have people that are allergic to parsley and just regular natural chlorophyll plants.
We're talking about food. Foods become harmful. How did that happen? So when you link it to the GMO issue, it resonates like you would not believe.
Patients with allergies, I try to keep them away from GMO foods because they'll react to them, and they'll tell you that.
It's my fourth child who has food allergies. We have no family history of this. I knew that I had taken care of myself through every pregnancy the exact same way. And as friends kept saying, what did you do differently? What did you do differently? I had no answer. And suddenly, in learning of this relationship between GMOs and food allergies, I finally had my answer. And in learning about genetically modified foods, I was also able to do something about it. And literally within a 24-hour period, we cleaned out the entire kitchen. There were the items that we had been feeding our children for the last 6 years, we just literally threw into the trash. And so at first, where I was excited and I was relieved at having discovered all of this, I then went through a really hard stage where I just cried because I thought, what have I done to my children, and what has been done to them without my consent?
And I have kids who are allergic to every food group. How is that possible? And not just a few of them, quite a few of them. Almost impossible to manage. Moms are coming and saying, what do I feed my kid?
I have seen firsthand exponential growth in allergies. And yet, when I improve the quality of my patients' diets, meaning prescribing a non-GMO diet, prescribing organic food, their symptoms go away.
In most of my patients, because they have some sort of immune or inflammatory response to the GMO foods, I have to take them off of the non-GMO foods that are related. So I have to take them off of all corn. I have to take them off of all grains, because my experience is that once the immune system has been inspired to have a response, that they react, to GMO and non-GMO.
Now, I had a healthy patient come in, 30-year-old woman, who told me now when she eats any food, her skin literally overheats. Literally anything that she's eating is causing a problem in her skin. And she says to me, what could this be? Well, what we do is we take her off of all of the food that she's eating, and she starts back adding in highest quality organic foods in their base forms, right? As she's doing that, she suddenly is getting better. We might have to use enzymes or other things to help her, but as she starts to get better, guess what? When we add back in corn or soy, she can consume it if it's not genetically modified.
I'm concerned about all the health issues that I'm seeing, but the one that I am most alarmed about is autistic spectrum, which is literally skyrocketed.
I had a doctor that has spent his entire career working with autistic children. He came up and asked me a few questions. When I reported exactly what we were seeing symptom-wise, behavioral-wise, with the rats and with the pigs and with the cattle that are being fed GMO versus non-GMO, he said that's exactly what we're finding in our autistic children.